We're in the Challenger SRT Jailbreak Hellcat Red Eye. This has the brass monkey package coming around $104,000. This is one cool rear wheel drive supercharged V8 monster. Every Hellcat starts underneath the hood, supercharged 6.2 liter Hemi V8, 807 horsepower, over 700 pound-feet of torque. This is truly a sight to behold, especially with the massive airbox. You have the supercharger pulley going. It kind of reminds me of like a World War II era supercharged fighter plane. As we close the hood, I love the hood vents on here, and this has the satin package, which gives us kind of a matte finish on not only the hood, but also the roof, the shark fin antenna, as well as the trunk lid and the trunk lid spoiler, and also the satin finish here on the fuel lid. Now the brass monkey has unique things going on, like the finish of this Hellcat Red Eye badge. We have Devil's Rim wheels that look absolutely amazing. They kind of have a little bronze finish to them. And how good does this hell-raising purple finish go with these orange SRT brake calipers? This car looks way cooler than the black Ghost I had about a month ago for review. It drives, of course, identical, but man, I actually have been able to enjoy this a little bit more with the summer P0 performance tires on here, because the black Ghost I had all season tires, which I don't understand that ever being a thing on this car. The front end of this car, even though it's been around for a while, never gets old. The aggressive nostrils, you have the air pass through on the inner ring here for the daytime running lights. You also have the brass monkey SRT badge up front. It's just a beautiful car, especially from the front, and then the lines look so classic. Now, of course, this is based off the wide body Red Eye, which I actually prefer to see Challengers without the wide body. I'm just not sure how the rounded wheel arches flow with the rest of the design. Let me know down below if you prefer the standard body over the wide body and vice versa, and tell me why. We have 305 with tires on the back. They still are not wide enough to put down all this power. We also have a beautiful Hellcat SRT badge back here, and just the iconic Dodge rear tail lights, very simple and have a charming old school look to them. And of course we have the blacked out exhaust on this peanut butter and jelly brass monkey edition. And the V8 humming at idle is something I could fall asleep to. Lifting up this massive trunk lid with the nice Dodge logo here. This trunk is huge. I could probably fit 2 or 3 Kirks in here, no problem. And you know why the bass sounds so good is because underneath the floor here, we have a double woofer system for the Harman Kardon. Look how easy it would be for you to swap out your 12-volt battery in here as well. And there's your tire fix-a-flat kit as well. Rear seats do fold down if you want to expand your trunk area. The back seat has great details, as we'll see in the front seat. I'm not going to sit back here because it is a workout getting in and out of it. But hey, at least you have rear vents to keep these uncomfortable passengers as comfortable as possible. Also, we have the black and sepia trimmed floor mats on this SRT Hellcat. On the inside, we have the black and sepia. I love this saddle tan interior with the SRT stamped into the seat with the Hellcat logo. Also in this model, we have the copper colored carbon fiber, which is a beautiful accent with the color of seats that we have in here. This also has the suede headliner package, which makes this feel much more premium, as well as the suede steering wheel. We still have the basic screen here that gives you Apple CarPlay, Android Auto when you plug it in. The Harman Kardon optional stereo in here sounds amazing. The bass is surprisingly good throughout multiple frequencies, and even sounds good on low resolution FM. We have volume knob and tuning knob down here, as well as amazing climate control that is just really easy to use and intuitive. We gotta press this SRT button here because this brings up all of our fun menus here and customization. You can control the RPMs on your launch control. I did some earlier at 1600, and even then it struggles to put down the power quite mightily. But you can customize each individual mode here: track mode, sport mode, custom, and auto. Behind the steering wheel, we have so much information that we can toggle through. It would literally be an entire video of just going through this section. Now, I got about 20 miles per gallon on the way out here, but I've been idling it for about 30 minutes, so of course that's gonna suffer. I would say around town, you'd be lucky to get into the teens. I actually prefer keeping the digital speedometer up here because I don't have to decipher what's going on the analog speedometer. And this car revs so fast, you're never really able to keep your eyes on this gauge, the tachometer, because all you have time for is to briefly glance at this because you can get sideways real quick. If you've never driven one of these Challengers, even with the softest steering setting, this thing is a boat The steering is very stiff. You're fighting it in the low speed maneuvers. This is really designed to be a straight shooter, warp speed, full speed ahead, no turns in sight, and that's perfect for Florida. This is ultimate Florida car where I live, with straight roads, flat roads, sometimes too much traffic, and that puts a damper on everything, but with no turns and no elevation in sight and really good roads overall, like that's why I see these things everywhere out on the streets down here in Florida. And our gas isn't too terribly expensive either. If I was dailying this car, I'd probably keep it on auto or have a custom mode here. Sport and track mode are well, especially track's not necessarily safe for the streets, where really cuts out all of the nanny systems. But sport mode is just, it's a little too rambunctious. It likes to keep the revs a bit higher for shifting around town. It's just not necessary, but custom and auto is a great place to be for overall comfort. And speaking of comfort, these seats are pretty firm. I love how they look, but unfortunately, like for some reason, the headrest is so far back. I haven't found a way to move the headrest forward to meet where my head is. I like sitting upright, but I feel like my head is a good 6 inches away from the headrest. So if I floor this thing and I don't already smash my head against the headrest, I'll be getting a good amount of whiplash here, just because that headrest is nowhere to be seen. And if you're driving this around town, just keep in mind that sometimes if you hit imperfect roads, it really likes to trail one way hard or the other. But overall, the ride quality, even with these large 20-inch wheels and these performance tires, overall, like it's pretty soft in here. And maybe that's because we have a nice long luxurious wheelbase. I think that really helps smooth things out in this car. Class is in session, seeing all these college students out here. I usually come out here on the weekend, so I'm here on a Friday. It's good to see people walking around. But you want people out and about so they can take a look at this really cool purple muscle car. The Hellraisin is just a really funny name, and I gotta give it up to Dodge, giving this thing a unique look. And there's so many different types of ways you can get this out of the factory. For me personally, I wouldn't be touching a Hellcat or even the Red Eye. And the reason is, well, I would like to have a manual, and I don't believe you can get a manual in the Hellcat. This is only the second one I've driven, so I'm not an expert by any means. But I think I would just be happy with the large Hemi engine, the 6.4 liter with plenty of power. And here's the thing, I can't put down the power on this car. Driving out here, I did 3 or 4 0 to 60s, and every single time I'm getting sideways. Even with launching at 1600 RPM, like, maybe you should just not launch at any RPM, just hit the gas and not even use launch mode. I guess launch mode would be very handy for like the drag strip, but I mean, really, that's the only way you can use this power. Or if you're out on the freeway over 80 miles an hour, because I was still spinning my wheels at 80 miles an hour here on the public streets. So I know upgrading your tires and getting wider tires could help that situation, but still, like 0 to 60 in 4.61 while I'm spinning the tires the whole way to get there is just insane. And I like this model way more than the Last Call Black Ghost. That's just personal preference. Some of you guys may be big fans of the original Black Ghost, might like one day dream of owning that. Like, I think there's only 300 models. Okay, does he see me? Okay, that was a bit scary. This thing isn't going to be as exclusive, but still, you don't see that many wide body Hellcats out there, and let alone in this cool purple color with the, you know, like we got the two-tone with the satin black going on. I just adore the way this looks, and I love how it was sent to me with the orange calipers. You can pick different caliper colors from the factory, and I love, like, purple and orange just go so well together, like peanut butter and jelly. I could snack on how this car looks forever. No, I'm not gonna launch this thing, but I'm just gonna roll gently onto the gas here. I'm not even going that fast, but the supercharger whine, the farts you get out of the rear exhaust, it's just an American-made happy machine. Let's pass this little RAV4 hybrid here. Just a gentle press of the gas pedal, double shift, downshifts twice with this 8-speed ZF. This 8-speed is not that dissimilar to what we see in, let's say, the Supra, for example. Both 8-speed ZFs, this one tuned a little bit different, I believe, to handle all the extra power and torque that we have here. But it is a fantastic transmission, shifts so fast and satisfyingly. You also have paddle shifters, but in the mode I'm in auto mode, they are disabled. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into sport mode here. Electronic lets you know immediately that, hey, you have the sport stability control on when you go to sport mode, which you can customize that as well. But let's look at the paddle shifters here. They're actually cold to touch, so that would lead me to assume that they are aluminum. So we're at 3,000 RPM, 4,000. It is just so effortlessly powerful. And honestly, like, I don't enjoy putting my foot all the way down on here. It's the slow build and the slow explosion of power and sound that you get in here that just makes this vehicle so fun. It also makes me happy looking out over the hood, seeing the double nostril hood vents that just look so classic and so powerful and menacing at the same time. I went to custom mode here because it puts stability control back on, so if I do something too stupid, I'm not going to die very quickly. God bless America. This is, yeah, I understand why there's such a big cult following around these cars. And up until a month ago, I had never driven one. You get hard on the throttle at like 60 miles an hour, and it's just, it wants to go sideways. So good thing I put it back into custom mode there, because the stability control helps straighten it out. It's just so fun and ridiculous. Like I honestly feel like I'm partly in a video game because I just have endless amounts of power. I also feel like I'm on some sort of roller coaster ride as well, where you get all these sounds and vibrations and just massive amounts of G-force shooting you into oblivion. Well, with all this extra power, like, I just feel I wouldn't trust myself to own this car. I know you would learn self-control over a while, and at first you just are so intoxicated with the amount of power. And I guess this power would never get old, but you'd get used to it. And still, personally, I would be getting the 6.4 liter with, you know, well over 400 horsepower and plenty of torque, 6-speed manual, and I wouldn't have the overbearing, you know, supercharger whine all the time, which sounds great, but if I own this, I don't know how happy it would continue. Is that a beekeeper on a bike? That was the strangest thing. But yeah, 6.4 liter, and I'm going to get back into auto mode here because it really likes to hold on to those revs in sport, and how I have custom mode set up as well. Let's get in the brakes, and then I'll just end the video. And the brakes hard here behind this sod truck. Lots of progression in it. Nothing much happens until you get about halfway through the pedal, but I have no problem stopping this car smoothly and predictably. I'll just keep it in auto. We don't have all the power, but and in auto mode there, it's going to be close to probably what the 5.7 or 6.4 liter will give you, because it nerfs the power a bit, but man, it still sounds great and brings a smile to my face. So Dodge SRT, I hope you never stop making the V8s. I know we're getting to a point where electrification is gaining traction, but an EV can never sound like this or feel like this regardless of how fast they are. I know Dodge, you'll try to do everything you can to make those cars feel engaging and satisfying, but ultimately there's no character or not the same sort of spirit. It's essentially going from rocket propulsion that we have here to spaceship propulsion, which is fairly lifeless, insanely fast, insanely efficient, but not as human. The V8, the internal combustion, feels very human, very natural, where electrification feels like humanity's moving towards another level of like awareness. It's a strange comparison, but I'm just kind of getting off off track here, and I gotta shut it down. Let me know what you guys think of this Hellraisin exterior with this SRT jailbreak. Like, there's just so many names to it. Remembering we have the brass monkey package on here. Just looks, feels, and drives so great. I gotta shut it down. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button. I'd really appreciate that. If you want to see more Dodge stuff on the channel, let me know. I know my Jeep video didn't do that great, but not that many people are excited about a Compass. I really wasn't when I was reviewing it. It's not bad. Anyways, I've only reviewed a few products on the channel from Stellantis, but I would be okay if they sent me one of these every single month. Take care, guys.